What if the reason you feel stuck isn't because you lack motivation or discipline or even confidence? What if it's because you're trying to become a new version of yourself in an environment that only knows the old you? I want to say something that might feel a little uncomfortable. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not lacking something everyone else seems to have. You're not. You're just surrounded by people, conversations, and spaces that make staying the same feel normal and growing feel wrong. And here's what nobody tells you: you can do all the inner work in the world, the journaling, the mindset shifts, the therapy, the affirmations, and still feel like you're moving through concrete. Not because the work isn't working, but because your environment is quietly, constantly pulling you back. Most women never see this. They keep trying to fix themselves when the real shift isn't just internal, it's environmental. Let's talk about this honestly. You say you want more, a different life, bigger goals, more confidence, more peace, more alignment. But when you really look at your life, you're still having the same conversations. You're still in the same routines and you're still surrounded by the same expectations. And again, this isn't about blaming anyone. It's not. This is about awareness, because it can look like this. You start talking about a goal or maybe starting something new, putting yourself out there, and someone says, "Are you sure? That seems risky. Why would you want to do that?" Not in a harsh way, just in a protective way. But what lands is hesitation. Or maybe you're trying to become more confident, and every time you speak up, you get talked over or dismissed or overlooked. So eventually, you say a little less. Or maybe the conversations around you are always the same, complaining about work, about other people, replaying the same frustrations, and focusing on what's wrong instead of what's possible. And slowly you start matching that energy. I want to be really honest about something here, because this isn't just a concept for me right now. This is something I'm actively walking through in my life. Over the last year, especially, I've had a few moments where things were said to me. Again, not in a mean way, not with bad intent, but in a way that made me stop and realize I'm still being seen as a version of myself that I've already outgrown. And I felt that. It didn't make me angry, but it did make me aware, because here's what no one really prepares you for. And this is a big one. When you start growing, it doesn't just change you, it changes your relationships, all of them. It changes the dynamic. It changes what you're available for, what you tolerate, what you participate in. And that can feel uncomfortable, not just for you, but for all the people around you. And I've had to really sit with that, because it would be easy to shrink back, to smooth it over, to go back to being the version of me that feels familiar to everyone else. But I can't unknow what I know now, and I can't unsee what I've seen, and I'm not willing to go back just to make it comfortable for people. I'm really not. So instead of making it about them, I started asking myself a different question. Where am I still placing myself in environments that don't fully support who I'm becoming? Because here's the shift that changes everything. You don't rise to your potential, you rise to your environment. And if your environment doesn't support your growth, you will either shrink or you will have to fight for every inch of it. And that's exhausting. Trust me on that one. But the version of you who goes after her life, she's not constantly battling her surroundings. She's supported by them. She's in spaces where growth is normal, taking risks is encouraged. Conversations expand her thinking. Not everything is filtered through fear. And here's the part most people don't talk about. She didn't wait until she felt ready. She placed herself in those environments before she fully believed that she belonged there. And yes, it feels uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. That might look like walking into a room where you don't know anyone and everyone seems more confident than you, or speaking up when your voice feels a little shaky. How about saying no to something that no longer aligns and sitting with the discomfort of disappointing someone? It can often mean spending more time alone because you're no longer willing to fill your time with things that drain you. That discomfort, that's not rejection. It's expansion, and that's exciting. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. I want you to pause and take an honest look at your current environment, not with judgment, not with guilt, but with honesty, because your environment is not a passive thing. It's either working for you or it's working against you. And most of us have never actually stopped to audit it. So we're going to do that right now. There are 3 areas. Number 1, the people you're around the most. Not just who you like, but who you're actually spending your time with. Who do you talk to every day? Who do you call when something goes wrong? And here's the real question. When you leave those conversations, do you feel expanded or do you feel smaller? Do you feel seen for who you're becoming, or do you feel quietly reminded of who you used to be? Number 2, the conversations that you're having daily. What are they actually about? Are they about dreams, growth, possibility, or are they mostly complaints, gossip, or just noise? I'm not saying every conversation has to be a TED Talk, but pay attention to the pattern, because the conversations that you have every day are literally shaping what you believe is possible for your life. Number 3, the spaces that you spend your time in, your home, your workspace, the places you go to decompress. Do they feel alive? Do they reflect the woman you're stepping into? Or do they feel like they belong to an older version of you that you've quietly outgrown? Now, sit with this and ask yourself honestly, does this environment support the woman I'm becoming or the woman I've already outgrown? Because here's what I need you to hear. Sometimes the answer, it's not dramatic. Sometimes it's not a toxic relationship or a terrible job. Sometimes the answer is simply, it's comfortable, it's familiar, and it is absolutely keeping me stuck. Comfortable is not the same as aligned. And for a long time, a lot of us have been mistaking one for the other. Yeah. So now that you've done that honest audit, I don't want you to overhaul your entire life this week. I don't want you to blow anything up. I just want you to choose one small shift, just one, because that's actually how this works. It's not one big dramatic moment. It's one small intentional choice made consistently that eventually changes everything. So here's what that can look like in real life. Maybe instead of staying in a conversation that's draining you, you gently exit it or redirect it. You don't have to make it a whole thing. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You just choose not to keep pouring from a cup that's already empty. Or instead of automatically saying yes out of habit, out of obligation, out of not wanting to disappoint someone, you pause and you ask yourself, does this actually align with where I'm going? That pause, that's not selfish, that's self-awareness. And instead of spending another few hours inside the same 4 walls, the same routine, the same energy that's been surrounding you for months, you place yourself somewhere different, somewhere that breathes. And I want to be really clear here, because this is something I think we overlook. Environments aren't always about people. Sometimes it's simply about where you physically place yourself. Something maybe as small as taking your journal to a coffee shop instead of sitting in the same spot on your couch, or going to a park, or finding a new corner of the library, sitting outside when you'd normally sit inside. These aren't small things. It may seem like it, but they're not. They're signals you're sending to yourself that say, I'm in a different chapter now, and I'm going to start showing up like it. Because here's something I've been reminding myself lately, and I want to offer it to you too. I'm not pushing people away. I'm just no longer pulling myself back. I'm going to repeat that because I really want you to hear it, and I think it's so important. I'm not pushing people away. I'm just no longer pulling myself back. It's not about rejection. It's not about burning bridges or deciding people aren't good enough for you. It's about finally deciding that you are. It's about stopping the quiet habit of shrinking yourself to stay comfortable in places that were never really built for the version of you that's emerging. One shift, guys. That's all. Just one. I want to say something else here that I really need you to sit with. Becoming her, the woman you're stepping into, it's not just a mindset shift. It's not just journaling differently or thinking more positively or repeating affirmations in the mirror. It's about placement. It's about the deliberate, sometimes uncomfortable decision to stop putting yourself in rooms that require you to be smaller than you actually are. It's about reaching a point where you can say, and really mean it, I don't belong in spaces that keep me small anymore. And here's where it gets tender, because those spaces, they're not always bad places. They're not always toxic situations or people who mean you harm. Sometimes they're familiar. Sometimes they're comfortable. Sometimes they include people you genuinely love and care about deeply. And that's what makes this really hard, because outgrowing something doesn't mean you're rejecting it. It doesn't mean you're saying you weren't enough or this didn't matter. It means you're finally, quietly, courageously choosing yourself, maybe for the first time, maybe after years of not doing it. That's not a betrayal, that's growth. But I also want to prepare you for something, because nobody really talks about this part. There will be moments in this process where you feel in between, not fully who you used to be, but not fully who you're becoming yet either. Honestly, that's where I'm at right now. You'll feel like you've outgrown the old version of your life, but the new one doesn't quite feel solid yet. Like you're standing in a doorway, one foot in each room, and you're not sure which direction to move. That feeling, that disorientation, that almost loneliness, that sense of I'm not sure where I fit right now, it's not a sign that something is wrong. That's the exact feeling of becoming. That in between space, as uncomfortable as it is where the real transformation is happening. It's where the old patterns are loosening that grip. It's where your identity is quietly restructuring itself around your values instead of your fears. It's where you stop performing the version of yourself that keeps everyone else comfortable and start practicing the one that actually feels like you. Don't rush through it. Don't try to escape it. Don't mistake the discomfort for a sign that you've made a wrong turn, because you haven't. You're just growing. And growth, real growth, has never been comfortable, but it has always, always been worth it. So, if you've been feeling stuck, I want you to try something. Stop asking what's wrong with me, because nothing is wrong with you. Nothing has ever been wrong with you. Instead, start asking, where am I placing myself? That's the real question. That's the one that actually changes things. Not what's broken, not what's missing, but where are you showing up? And is that the place that's asking you to rise or asking you to stay? The woman you're becoming, she doesn't wait for permission to take up space. She doesn't shrink herself down to make the room feel more comfortable. She doesn't put growth on hold until everyone around her is ready. She places herself intentionally, deliberately, sometimes nervously, in the rooms, the conversations, the environments that match who she's becoming, not who she's been, not who other people need her to be. And then she grows into it, one day at a time, one small shift at a time. If this resonated, guys, I want you to save this video, not just for right now, but for the moments when you feel yourself starting to shrink again, when the old pull comes back, when the familiar starts feeling safer than the forward. Come back to this. Let it remind you of what you already know. And if you're ready to go even deeper, if you're ready to start quieting that voice inside you that tells you to stay where you are, stay who you've been, stay small, and has you overthinking literally everything, I have something for you. It's a free guide, Overthinking Reset, and it's linked right below this video. Because here's what I know to be true. When you learn to trust yourself, really trust yourself, you stop settling. You stop arranging your life around spaces that were built for an older version of you. And you start, piece by piece, building one that actually fits. I am so glad you were here today. This conversation matters, and so do you. I'll see you guys in the next one.